Welcome to this 10th lecture session of this online course organized by AKTU, our own university. I am Nivedita Lal from ITM GIDA, Gorakhpur, from the Department of Applied Sciences and Humanities. In this special session, we are going to talk about tenses. I feel that when we compare the grammar of English language to the grammar of other languages like Hindi, Urdu, Sanskrit, it seems to me that English grammar is much more simple and non-complicated in comparison to the grammar of other languages. As far as English grammar is concerned, to master this language, the three basic things which we can do is, the first thing is to have a control over tenses. Tenses, it forms the very base of English language. Along with tenses, we should go for verbs, then for improving our vocabulary, and last but not the least, it is the practice, just like maths, which always pays. So, students, pay attention to the tenses which form the base of this English language. The agenda naturally is to understand the concept and usage of tenses which we commonly use. In the previous lectures also I have stated that I do not go for the exceptions, for the exceptional cases, because the things which I want to share with you, it is about the daily usage for students who feel that they are not very, they do not have much control over English language. So, let us start with present tense first. Simple present tense otherwise is also known as timeless present, because timeless present tense, it does not give us any denotion of the time which the act has happened. Simple present tense is used broadly in the following conditions: when you are referring to habitual actions, actions that you always or never do. Next, when you are referring to unchanging truths, or when you are making general statements of fact. Now, examples are the best modes of getting control over language. Let us take an example of habit. He always comes late to class, or if we want to state a positive sentence, he always comes to class timely. This is a habit, and hence it can be stated through simple present tense. Second thing which we talked about was unchanging truth. The sun rises in the east. Honesty is the best policy. The truths which cannot be changed, which should not be changed, can be stated, can be denoted through this tense. Then general statement of fact also we use. They are friendly to each other. So, these simple sentences which are in the section of simple present tense, the indicators for these are words like always. I always carry an umbrella with myself. Whenever, whenever he comes, he brings sweets for us. Every day, every day at 9 a.m. our class starts. Usually, I don't watch TV after 10 p.m. Often, often we go to play cricket in the field. Frequently, very frequently, my friends ask me to go for picnic. Sometimes, sometimes I feel lazy in the class. Rarely, rarely do I get absent during the periods. Occasionally, occasionally our teacher takes us for a trip. Never, never in my life have I fought with my friends. So, these were some common usage. Now, let us switch over to forms. Forms denote how to use it easily. I study, you study, she studies, we study, they study. When the tense is singular, it is I study, you study again second person, she studies third person singular has to be included es or s. We study, whenever there is plural it will be simple study, and again they study will be in the simple form. The second list of again sentences we can check. I wait singular first person, you wait second person singular, she waits. As soon as it comes to third person singular, s or es is added. We know she waits, we wait, and they wait. So, now we have to be careful that which type of uh, usage we are applying while using simple present tense, and we have to be particular about its rules as well. Next to switch over is simple past tense. As the word itself suggests, past tense is that tense which tells us about the happening that has always happened already, that has already happened. Let us see the usage. When an activity or situation began and ended at a particular time in the past. In other words, when an activity or situation is completed in the past, we use simple past tense. We also use this tense to refer to the past habits. Then when we look for examples, we can say he was late to class yesterday. It has already happened. He was late to class yesterday. We arrived 3 weeks ago. Completed action in the past is again denoted here. She always wrote a letter to her mother on Sunday night. It states a past habit. What are the indicators of using this simple past tense? If we will go for it, last night, last night I watched a movie. Week, last week we went for a picnic. Month, we can say that in the previous month I did well in my exams. Yesterday, ago, these are other words which can indicate the time of the past. What are the forms that we are supposed to use? I studied, first person singular, You studied, second person singular. She studied, third person singular. We studied, first person in a group, and they studied, third persons in a group. I waited, singular, first person. You waited, second person singular. She waited, third person singular. We waited and they waited. Now, when we talk about perfect tense, let us first start with present perfect tense. In this present perfect tense, it is commonly used in English. This is to be noted down. This tense is very commonly used in English to refer to the past, any happening of the past. The present perfect is used when an activity happened at an unspecified time in the past, obviously before the present. You have to be careful. Or when an activity has been repeated several times before now. Next, whenever an activity was very recently completed before the present time, or when an activity is not completed in the past. Let us look at some of the examples. They have already seen that movie. It's unspecified time before now. We have visited New York City many times. Again, repeated activity before now. I have just eaten. It is an action that has recently been completed before now. And I have studied Spanish for many years. It is an action not completed in the past. Let us go for the indicators now. Before, ever, never, so far, already, yet, just, recently, for and since. Now, forms we have to pay attention to. It is have or has plus past participle. Examples: I have studied, you have studied, she has studied, we have studied, they have studied. I have seen, you have seen, she has seen, we have seen and they have seen. Form 2, I have walked, you have walked, she has walked, we have walked, they have walked, I have grown, you have grown, she has grown, we have grown and they have grown. The present progressive tense now, which we also call continuous tense. It is more popular actually in between our students as continuous tense. So, we can call it the present continuous tense or present progressive tense. Now, to switch over to this aspect, the situations when we use present progressive tense, we use it when an activity is in progress now at the moment of speaking, or when an activity began before now and continues into the future without stopping. Third situation can be when an activity is temporary or when an activity is developing and changing. Let us go for examples. I am explaining something to the class right now. He is taking 16 credits this semester. She is understanding English more and more because she moved into the dorm. Indicators for this tense are right now, at this moment, still, this year, week, month, etc., or as we speak. Forms for this category: I am studying, you are studying, she is studying, we are studying, they are studying. And here we have to remember not to get confused about the ing forms, which are often used at variety of situations. Students might get disturbed, but pay attention to these simpler forms and obvious situations. Again I repeat that do not go for very typical situations, because it might get you confused. Now, as far as future tense is concerned, we will see to it in our next lecture. Thank you.